Welcome back to the Total Focus Podcast, Episode 3. I'm your host, Paul. Our special guest this week is Stephen Rodney, the owner and founder of Pageant Planet. This is an individual who is well on his way to be one of the most successful people in the pageant world. And as you listen to his story, you're going to understand that to achieve things in life, you have to continue to motivate and change and continue to read and understand that just because you're in one spot now doesn't mean you're going to be in the same spot in the future. And the only way to continue to progress is to change. So stay tuned and listen to this wonderful, amazing interview. I am so happy to have one of my awesome pageant friends, Stephen Rodney from Pageant Planet. He is the owner and founder. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks. It's good to be here.
Well, we really appreciate that you have some time to actually come to the show and talk about this awesome website and program that you have. And we really would love to hear all about it and how you got it started, because I always thought that was fascinating. So why don't we just start from the beginning, because it's easier just to start from the beginning, and we can go from there. And then you can tell us all about all the cool stuff you have going on and then hopefully rolling out.
All right. So, how I got started in the pageant industry is when I was 23. I bought an arena football team, and I was like, who's the prettiest girl I can get to do the coin toss? And so the arena football team was in Georgia, and I was like, maybe I can hire Miss Georgia to do the coin toss. And so basically hired Miss Georgia to come down and do the coin toss, and then a lot of pageant girls came there to see Miss Georgia. And one of the pageant girls, I was actually friends with her parents. Her parents were up in the owner's suite with me, and so I invited her and her friends to come up. I'd never met them before, but then anyway, so she was up there, and we started dating, and I started seeing this evolution of who she was becoming as a woman, all the opportunities that was open up for her, how much money she was spending in coaching fees and on evening gowns, things like that. And after the football team, I was looking for my next business opportunity, and I just saw an opportunity in the space of pageantry where I could create a website, an online portal where girls could come, receive coaching, and my hope was to get enough following, to get enough traction that I would be able to leverage that following to get advertisers like makeup companies, fashion companies, etc., to buy advertising on our site to market to those girls. So that was pretty much how it's how the idea started.
We definitely achieved that goal, that's for sure. Getting the sponsors to buy into the idea, so that's a kudos. I I never knew that you owned are you I never knew you owned a football team. So which
Yeah.
was it part of the Arena Football League or one of the UFL? Which association? Because that's awesome.
It,
That's a great story right there. I knew that you dated a pageant girl, and but I didn't know it was a football thing. That's so cool.
yeah, so that's how we met, and it was part of it was in the arena. So it was
Wow, that's
basically
awesome.
like, yeah, it was basically like AFL 2, because there was an AFL 1, they were the direct kind of minor league to the NFL, and then there was the Arena League 2. So I mean, we had people that played on our team that had played for the Philadelphia Eagles, that went to Ohio State, all that stuff. So it was really fun. It was a really cool opportunity, and got a lot of life lessons out of it, and it really set me up for success later in life.
Well, I mean, to own so you were 22, you said, when you owned the team?
I was 23 when I
Okay,
got it. Yeah.
that's I would say that's probably the youngest owner ever, but um,
At the
th-
time I was. I don't know if I still am or not anymore, but I guess at the time somebody was telling me that I was the youngest person to do it.
okay, well, I would say that's a cool thing right there.
Yeah.
And then you leveraged it to come up with this great idea off of dating this gorgeous girl. So, so your initial idea is, okay, I just want to build a platform and then have enough followers to then leverage internet traffic so I can sell ads on top of it. So that's the idea. Um,
Yeah.
Now, going forward, you also got into public speaking because of that too, right? So you're also doing the pageant. So how did that fall into the actual the story of doing Pageant Planet?
Yeah. So the public speaking actually happened before Pageant Planet. So I abbreviated the story, but the longer version is that after the football team, I wasn't necessarily sure what I wanted to do. I know I didn't like showing up to an office each day. I didn't like the structure and the rigors of that. And so my dream and what I really was passionate about was helping other people become successful. And so I had some mentors or some people that was in my life at the time that was motivational speakers, and they were making like $5,000 a speaking engagement. They were traveling, they were like getting all that stuff paid for. And I thought, this is pretty awesome to basically be able to fly around and get paid 5 grand for a 3 or 4 hour speaking engagement. And then if you get a book on the New York Times best-selling list, you get paid like $15,000 to $20,000. And if you have a really highly specialized niche that helps other people um, make even more money from their business or whatever, you can get paid $30,000 to $60,000 and up a speaking engagement. So I saw a lot of upswing in that, and I basically started shadowing these different motivational speakers. And at the same time, I started to learn about the space of internet marketing. So I created my own website, StephenRoddy.com, and started posting like motivational blogs and personal development blogs and things like that, and learning how to get things to rank in Google. Started playing around with Twitter because Facebook wasn't really popular at the time. There was no Instagram, no Pinterest, no anything like that. YouTube was just kind of really coming on the scene as a major force, and MySpace was still kind of prevalent. But so I got pretty good at the marketing side of it. And two of my mentors in the same week told me, you know what, you should put this motivational speaking thing on the back burner and you should really start up a marketing company. And so I started up a marketing company. I took their advice, I put that in the back burner, and I started an internet marketing company. And so I started marketing them, and then I started marketing some movies and some B-list celebrities and things like that, some music artists, and because that was a very new raw space, so there wasn't a whole lot of competition. And I did not like working with clients. I did not like people who were paying me money to kind of want me on beck and call all the time, because it was just a different version of the office. And so that's when I decided to create my own brand online and just apply what I was doing for everybody else to myself and to the space of pageantry.
So, does this background that causes you to be motivated to keep on doing new things, is that instilled, or is that something that you've learned over the course of your life, that you continue to change the model, continue to um, mold with the times? Is that something you've learned, or is that something that you were taught?
That's a good question. I've never thought of myself as someone always attempting something new. Um,
Just the way you
what I
just talked about I got that
Right.
impression.
No, I would agree with you. Like, in analyzing myself, I would agree that I am someone that tries new things. I just when I'm making, I just never thought of myself like that. Um, my end goal has always been, and the thing that's really drove me was freedom, financial freedom, time freedom. I wanted to do and live life on my own terms. So if I wanted to pick up tomorrow and go to the beach and stay a month, I wanted to have that option. And if I wanted to take off and not work for a day, I wanted to have that option. And I was in pursuit of that. And I was definitive, and like that's what I wanted out of life. And so I would keep, as soon as I hit this roadblock where it was causing me stress and taking me away from that, either financial security, that financial freedom, or that time freedom, um, I stopped doing that. Like, whatever that thing was, regardless of how much money it was paying me, or regardless of like the status that it was, whatever. So I was always in pursuit of that thing, and I'm happy to say that not only myself but my staff now all experiences like that level of freedom. Like my queen of editing just told me today, she was like, "All right, I won't you won't be able to get a hold of me for the rest of the day. I'm going to Disneyland or Disney World." And I was like, "Awesome, have a blast. I'll talk to you tomorrow." And then my queen of sales, like a few months ago, was like, "Okay, I'm going to Finland. I'll be back in a week, but you can still reach me on my cell phone if you need me." I was like, "All right, have a blast." So it's cool to be able to have and have created something that affords me my dreams and my desires of having that time freedom, that financial freedom, but then to also give that to my staff too.
But it also sounds like you're fostering that in the business, that to be your own boss and to have um not it also sounds like you're paying your employees, if your employees have the same equity when it comes to financially, to be able to take the afternoon off. That means that as an owner, you're paying your employees well enough to do that, which is commendable because most businesses, you know, they don't say this publicly, but they don't pay you enough to do that. They kind of hold you down so that you can't do that. You can't rise up to the next level. So that's commendable from a business standpoint that you're giving your employees an opportunity like that.
Well, yeah, it is. And I'm not the highest paid person on my staff. I pay my staff more than I even pay myself. So, like, the reason for that is I want to treat them better than I treat myself so that they would never want to go anywhere else. Like, why would they? I let them run themselves and I pay them a good salary. Um, and so they can have both the time freedom and the financial freedom. But as a result, I don't have to worry about my business like other people do because I have a happy staff. And you meet a lot of entrepreneurs and they're stressed out and they're worrying about their business or they're having employee problems. And we don't experience that. I mean, we have our our challenges sometimes, but like for the most part, it's not a challenge at all.
I mean, that's commendable. I mean, most people can't say that about their business, so I definitely, that's kudos to you. I just wanted to take 1 second from this great interview and talk about our sponsor of the week, Mid Atlantic Video and Photography Productions. No matter if you're planning a wedding, a special event, or you just need an amazing headshot, they are the team to get the job done. You can reach out to them at 443 422 3830. Again, that's 443 422 3830. Or you can just go right to their website at mavpp.com. Now let's get right back to the show and listen to this great interview. I'm thinking about this whole broad thing because we jumped in right in. We talked about pageant planning because that's like the main topic of it. But maybe we should really. So how did you like get in? It takes a lot of knowledge to pursue getting a team at that age. So where did you go to college, or are you self-taught? Like how did you venture to that allowed you to get to this hurdle, because it seems everything we're talking about is a step, and that's one of the things I always love about this podcast. I want to explain to everyone that life is about steps, and you use everything to get to the next step. So even if you start at the bottom, you can just use the next step to get up. You can do it. So like, what step allowed you to get to the football team that then got you this public speaking, which is now where you are at now at Pageant Planet, that incorporates public speaking, internet marketing, and all of that. So
Well, so I was from a very small city, 7,000 people, and it was in nowhere, Ohio. It was called Belletiere, Ohio. It's right on the border of Ohio and West Virginia, about 2 hours from the nearest airport. And I remember my parents asking me, or they actually told me, like what I said. I don't remember this exact conversation, but they asked me what I wanted to do when I was 12. And I said I wanted to own the Chicago Bears, like the football team, Chicago Bears. And I was like, and they're like, "You mean play for them?" I'm like, "No, I'd really like to own them." And they're just like, "Okay." And that was just like a little childhood dream. I don't know where I came up with that, but it was just something that I said I wanted to do. And I didn't go to college for business. I went to college to be a preacher. I got ordained. So I was in seminary for 3 years. That's as long as the school would allow. Um, and at the end of it, I was ordained so I can like marry and bury and all that stuff. I'm actually marrying some good friends of ours. Um, here in a few months. She's a former Miss Massachusetts Teen USA. I'm marrying her. And but after the football team, or I'm sorry, after college, and even in the midst of college, I started to discover this whole world of personal development. And the very first book that I read was called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and loved that book. It's amazing. And then that led me to Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which led me to this life of personal development. And I made it a commitment at the time that I would read at least 15 minutes a day, every day, of a personal development book, a book on business, a book on bettering my mindset, bettering my communication skills, bettering my interaction with my fellow humans. And I've continued that basically to this day. I might go like a few days without reading, but for the most part, I consume books that help me think better and be better and eat better, sleep better, like treat my wife better, all those things. Um, and so when I was 23, my friend and I was broke, by the way. I was waiting tables at the Cheesecake Factory when I bought the football team. I had my friend who knew my dream of owning a football team saw this Forbes magazine in the airport, and on the front of it, it said how to buy your own football team. And so he bought it for me and gave it to me and said, "Hey, I thought you'd get a kick out of this." And I read it, and it said you needed to have $5 million in assets, and how John Bon Jovi had a team and all these wealthy people had football teams. And I'm like, I want to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to just swing for the fence. And if it happens, or like if I fail, I'm just going to laugh and say, "Can you even freaking believe I tried that?" And I did. And I came home from that. We were at a friend's wedding there, and came home and just started doing some research online. And I found a football team that was for sale like 2 hours from where I was living at the time in Georgia. And so I called the owner up and just said, I mean, I was so scared, very nervous, but I just knew that I wanted this team. And so I said, "I'd like to talk to you about buying your football team." And he asked, like, "Well, what do you do for a living?" And I was like, should I lie or tell the truth? Lie or tell the truth? And so I just said,
Go with the
I wait.
truth, Go
Yeah.
go with the truth, because what's the word? They could just say
What's
no,
the
right? Right.
Right, absolutely. And I don't have to put on any airs or any facade, but it was a real struggle there in that pause moment. And I just said, I wait tables at the Cheesecake Factory. And he laughed and he just said, "Well, any server who thinks he can buy my football team, I guess I at least owe him lunch." I said,
Wow.
"Well, I guess you do." And so we went out, we had lunch, and in essence, just through the gift of gab and the creative financing, well, I got him to finance a portion of the team. If I came up with the down payment, I didn't have any money for a down payment. And so I put a very large cash advance on my credit card because I had a lot of credit and just a good credit. And I went down, I gave him that cash advance, and then I went immediately to work, sold some advertising, paid off the cash advance, and he financed the rest. And at 23, I became the youngest person to get the football team.
So, I mean, I go back to my original comment. You are absolutely 100% continually, like, motivatingly to change your outlook every single, like, if you need to make a right turn or left turn, you do it. I mean, I didn't. I'm really shocked of all, like, I thought I knew you really well, Steven. Like, uh, you went to seminary school, which I didn't even know. Kudos to you. So are you a father or at this point, or no? Um,
Well, so a father would be Catholicism,
okay,
and so I would be considered I would be considered a pastor if I actually had a church. I don't consider myself. I just consider myself Stephen.
okay.
Uh,
I
yeah.
mean, it's a good name to be in that work too, because it works with the um, with the naming. But um, okay, so and then you went from that to waiting tables, and then going from that to owning a professional football team.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope your head is spinning because mine is just like I'm like okay I'm like but see to me it just proves to anyone that if you want to achieve something there is an opportunity and you need to be really motivated to go out there and seek it. And I mean you perfectly you in that meeting you clearly demonstrated to that owner that you've got the balls and the know-how to put yourself out there and you're willing to take those risks. You know, you were
Hmm.
willing to take that financial risk and and put it on yourself in the hopes that you can pay it off. And it sounds like it paid off because that one step led you to the next step, which is now where you are at Pageant Planet. So I mean that
Yeah.
yeah. So
And to put it in perspective for the people that's listening, like when I moved down to Atlanta, and after college, I moved down to Atlanta, Georgia, because I knew that if I was to stay in my local hometown, my mom's a stay-at-home mom. Love my mom. I mean, she's done amazing. It's me, and she raised myself and five sisters, so she had to stay at home, right? And my dad worked. He had a small construction company, like handyman work. So it didn't come from a lot of money, and I drove down to Atlanta in a rusted out minivan, and everything I owned was in that minivan. And when I jumped out, there was the apartment, and I had no furniture for a year, like none. And all I had was books. And so I'd come home. I didn't have a TV. I couldn't afford a TV. My ironing board was my um, ironing board. It was my nightstand. It was my coffee table. It was my dinner table, and it was my desk when I was writing and like reading these personal development books. And I remember like so many times like bumping my knee on my ironing board, and I also had an air mattress too, so like sitting on an air mattress writing on an iron board. And then my cup of hot tea or coffee would spill, and I'm like, crap. So I didn't have anything but a dream, and I just chose to start betting on myself, chose to start believing in myself. And that took, it was like three years of consuming like, gosh, probably 40, 50 books on like personal development and going to conferences and scraping up money to hire mentors, like little coaches, and to teach me on mindset, to like pull myself out of that. But I just, if I didn't take a risk on myself and if I didn't try anything different, I wasn't formally educated, so either I'd go back and get a church or I'd have to wait tables for the rest of my life. So, and I just knew that I was supposed to have a business. And so I'm like, let's just go for it.
I just wanted to take one extra second and talk about our sponsor of the week, Mid Atlantic Video and Photography Production. No matter if you're planning a wedding and you need a wedding videographer, you're doing a music video, or doing commercial, they are the team to get the job done. You can reach out to them at 443 422 3830. Again, that's 443 422 3830. Or you can go right to their website at mavpp.com. Now let's get right back to this great interview. So, where's this fundamental desire to read books and to absorb information? Does that come from going to school and learning training to be a priest? Because I know that you're from friends that have also participated in that form of college that you do a lot of private reading, a lot of private reflection. So is that come from there, or did you have it as a child? Because a lot of people today don't read, but reading does really help generate mind power and motivation. So like you keep on saying about reading, like I mean, all these great successful people read a lot. So
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I think it stems from two things. If I'm just having to reflect on the spot, um, one is that I I don't feel like I am where I want to be in life, and so like spiritually, financially, relationally, like with my wife and just my friends, and health wise. So I'm like, there's so much opportunity for growth that, and so many different areas where I'm not 100% satisfied. And so I'm just looking to continue to find more peace in myself. And if there's an area about myself that I'm not necessarily crazy about, then I'm looking to read information that will help me course correct that portion of my life to make it better. And it's a race against myself, really. And so I just continue to read. Like for example, I have been really curious about Facebook marketing, and I've known Facebook marketing, and I've been doing Facebook marketing for 7-8 years. But I've just suddenly that was an annoyance to me. I'm like, gosh, I should have mastered this by now. Like, why have I not? So I went and did some research, and then bought a few books, and um, found like, okay, there's this one book that I felt like it would help me, and it was 400 pages. And then so I just cleared out my calendar, and for the next 4 days, that's all I did was read the book until I was done.
well,
And
tell
then
tell us what if you know the book. We all would love to know what do you think is the winning book? Because Facebook is such a challenge.
right, it's a challenge for marketing, but this book really breaks it down, and helps. And it's called I'm gonna walk over here and find it.
That's
But the
okay.
thing I liked about it is it was like pictures, and I really like the guy that wrote it. But it's labeled the ultimate guide to Facebook advertising, the third edition, and it's by a guy. His name's Keith Krantz. So Keith Krantz, and Krantz is Krance. And
And
so it's a
and you really recommend that book after reading it?
yeah, yeah, it's great. Yeah, and it helped me pull together my thoughts, and like devise better strategies than what I had prior. So it's things like that that I'm looking to better myself, and in this process. So I guess to go back to your original question, it's one, I don't feel like I've arrived. I feel like there's still a lot of things that I need to learn, and that's what, and like the only way to really get better is to like change the input that's going into your mind. So you either A, change the people that you are around, B, change the information that you read, or C, change the information that you listen to. So I'm like when I work out, if I'm working out by myself, I'll listen to podcasts or I'll listen to audiobooks. So it just helps me to consume knowledge, towards these different areas that I want to grow in.
I mean, I think the most important thing is that you should never consider learning is something you do when you're a child, and you should always continue to learn your entire life. You should, if you want to be successful, every single successful person is learning from someone else, is going to trade school or or, or honing their craft. I mean, perfect example is as a doctor. A doctor has to go and take new classes every year just to be up on the next trend. So if a doctor needs to do it, anyone is owning a business needs to. So I mean, you're absolutely right, Stephen.
Yeah. Yep.
So now that we really have fully understand like how you really are successful, okay, now you've made this website. Your original concept was just to sell ads on it and to have a little bit of a freedom. How did you grow it into the large platform that it is today? So I, just as a background, I ran into Steven at a pageant, 5 years ago, and that's how I came. And Steven was the presenter of the pageant. So at that point, was it just at the beginning, or were you down the path at that point?
Yeah, down the path. So this is going to be our 10th year in business.
Okay,
It's about
congratulations.
the half. It's about the halfway point. Yeah, thanks.
So at that point when we originally met, um, like, did you have an idea of where it was going to be at this point, where you have a larger platform, you have an internet base, because it continues to change? Because did you at that point, did you have a staff? And like I had gotten the impression at that point you were just a one man show, and it was like a directory, but it's much more than that. So
Yeah. 5 years ago, I think we had about a staff of maybe 4 or 5. Now we have a staff, and this is not including tech team or accountants or like attorneys or whatever. We've got a staff of 23. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's grown considerably since then. About the 5 year mark is when it really started to grow, both in influence and financially. And I didn't know that it would be what it is now. And for those of you listening, it's basically like the Knot, the wedding website, but for pageant girls is the best way to like quickly describe it. Um, because I didn't know a whole lot about the industry. So I just knew that there was an opportunity. And as my mom refers to me, she says, I'm patiently stubborn. And I just knew that there was an opportunity there. So I just kept attempting like just micro experiments. I would test out different blogs to see which ones would get more traffic, get more exposure. I'd test out different ways to monetize the website, and none of it really crystallized until about in truth, until about year 7, when I finally was like, oh, this is the plan that's going to take us to the next level. I knew that I wanted to do the plan I implemented in year 7 and year 5. I did know that, but I didn't find the right tech team because nobody was skilled enough to put it together in a good way. And so I hired this person in year 7. They created the website, a version of what we have now. It was poorly done, so fired them, hired another tech team. About a year and a half later, um, it was better done, but still poorly done. And now I got the the tech team that we're doing now, and they're fixing all of the mistakes that the last tech team did.
it's just a course of life.
It
You know,
is, yeah.
you know, you have a vision, and if you don't get it the way you wanted, then you just need to start over. It's it's hard being the boss and firing people, but if it's not the way it needs to be, and you know that you can be more successful doing it another way, then you have to stand to your guns. Um, so I think it's a perfect example of calling it the Not But for pageants, but I think it's more than that. I've noticed that you guys have really branched out, and you're doing Instagram videos, and you're
Mm-hmm.
doing interviews, and you guys are doing live streams. So that's very interesting, and giving tips and all that kind of stuff. And then one of the things I always thought was really cool is that you give a platform for girls that are in smaller systems, and you do hot or not, or if this is a good dress or not. So, what's your idea behind that? Tell them about your social media, because those things I think are interesting. Because for girls that are in smaller systems, they don't get the attention, and you give them the attention, even if they're in a smaller system.
Yeah, the girls are the rock stars of our brand. Contestants are the celebrities of our brand. You know, it's not about Steven. It's not about. We try not to make the brand about ourselves. The brand is about the industry, and so those are the ones that we focus on. And the reason in doing like featuring the contestants from the smaller titles is like that's how I got my start. Like girls that competed in Miss America, Miss USA, whatever, they wouldn't talk to me in the beginning. I wasn't important enough. And I'm also a straight guy trying to reach out to them via Facebook, like, hey, I'm starting this blog. Like, will you interview me? I promise it's going to be a thing, right? And not a lot of people had blogs back in 2009, and not a lot of people had like websites. It was just kind of starting to merge. And so, again, like when I would reach out, gosh, so many people ignored me. So I had to start with the smaller companies. So,
I feel you
like,
so much, Stephen.
yeah, yeah, right.
We're like we're on the same level. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's how you start, and that's you experience a lot of rejection, a lot of internal doubts, and that's just all kind of part of the process, and like everybody goes through that. But USA National Miss, High School America, and IJM, and us, we in Pageant Planet, we all started about the same time. So I just started. I didn't know that because I was so new to the industry, and all these smaller pageants were starting to pop up, and I was the only one that was focusing on them. And so they were grateful, and their girls had a platform, and we was able to develop content, etc. And seriously, like, I think these girls in the smaller titles are doing things that's equally as amazing as like Miss USA, Miss World, Miss America, but oftentimes it's just overshadowed because they don't have the marketing vehicle behind them. So it's fun to be able to create a brand and focus on people that, like a contestant who's competing with no hair, or a contestant that's competing with like full tattoos, or a girl that was covered with moles like all over her body because of a genetic disease, and who won a pageant, and just a girl competing in an Africa pageant who is an albino. And it's kind of being albino in Africa is like, in this particular region where she was competing, it's like looked at as a curse still. Like it's a, like, don't touch her, you might get sick with it, that sort of thing. So it's really amazing to see these um, obstacles and barriers that these powerful women are overcoming, and even the smaller titles. And that's what we like to feature. We like to feature just amazing women doing great things, and it doesn't matter their title.
I mean, I think that's the best thing about your website is you guys really put your customer as the face of your product, and you put it out there that way, and you let you really let the customer um, promote your business, unlike it the totally the other way. Uh, usually the business is very controlling of their brand, but you're very confident that you're doing a really good job, and you have a staff that's doing a good job. So it's kind of totally different. It's like, if you think about it, it's totally flipped the other way. Because
Yeah.
I never see your logo, like, especially when it comes to your Instagram. It's not like, so it's totally different way. I commend you for that. So um, I would definitely, if you are in the pageant world, or if you're just a newbie in general, you need to look for them, because you definitely have to look them up, because they're not gonna have their ad all over the place. They're very like low key, like chill, is how I would definitely look at it. But when you go to their website, it is absolutely easy. It's got directory for every system. And then on the other side, it helps you if you need photography, videography, if you need hair, makeup. So why don't you tell them about that too? Because you're not just going to help them with the system, you're going to help them find someone on the other side too.
Yeah, so our goal is to connect and expand the pageant industry. And if you're just a newbie coming in, you have no idea about the industry at all, you can fill out a form and hit submit. And in the form, you just say how old you are, whether you're male or female, if you're married, if you have kids or not, etc. And you just hit submit, and that goes to all the directors in our database that matches up with the criteria that you're looking for in a pageant. And then those directors reach out to you. They let you know about entry fees and what makes their pageant different, and then you can decide on which one you want to go with. And then after you've decided which pageant you want to go with, you can go over to our pageant coaching directory and look for a pageant coach near you. Just type in your zip code and click enter, and pageant coaches that are near you will pop up. And with a click of a button, you can contact them. If you need a photographer for headshots, you need a hair and makeup artist, you need a personal trainer, all of that you can find right there. And then if you need a dress, you can jump over to our image galleries. You can sort the dresses, click on the dress, and find a retailer nearest you where you can buy that dress. And if you need shoes, earrings, we have all that stuff in our shop too. And if you need coaching articles and content, like if you want to read about like what is pageant interview, how do I prepare, like how do I walk, how do I pose, all of that, we have literally courses on each division of competition. So our pageant course for interview is like 100 pages long without images or videos. So literally it is made to cover if you're a guy, if you're a glitz pageant, if you're a Mrs. Contender, it'll cover everything that you need to know concerning pageant interview. And the same way with our hairstyle articles, our makeup articles, fun fashion articles. So they are literally courses that we drop and we give them to you for free. So to help you prepare.
I can't enough recommend that if you want to be the winning person or you just want to excel in life and in pageants, you have to go to pageantplanet.com. So, Stephen, is there anything you want to wrap up? We've talked, I think, about everything, but is there anything that you would like to say on your behalf or anything that we overlooked?
Well, not necessarily on my behalf, but what I want to do is just encourage everyone starting out in their journey. If you have a goal that you're walking towards, be patient with yourself and realize that failure is part of it. Like with the same amount of I guess, intensity that you fail, if you don't quit, you will experience that intensity in the realm of success. Failure is embarrassing. When you start off, you feel like in business or towards your goal, you feel awkward, you look awkward, you don't do things maybe as professional as like somebody else has been in there longer. But that's how everyone starts. And so I just really encourage you be patient in the process and just know that as long as you don't quit, there's no one that can stop you.
I think that's a great way to end it. Let's leave it with all your contact information because let's make sure that let's drive some traffic to you and let them know how to get in touch with you. So please let us know all your contact information.
So everything that you can find or that you need to know is just going to pageantplanet.com, and pageant is spelled like page ant, planet.com. On there, you can, with a click of a button, you can access all of our social media channels. You can sign up for 233 free practice interview questions. You can make an account and add yourself into the pageant history books. You can find coaches, pageants, and so much more. So pageantplanet.com.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for coming on and being our guest. I really appreciate it. I think this has been an absolute amazing interview.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate you having me.
Stephen, thank you so much for coming on our show. What an absolute amazing interview. I'm totally motivated. I hope that anyone that has listened to this entire episode is totally motivated to go out there, read as much as possible, and to really find what you want in life and get it. Even if you have to start and you have to make a zigzag to get to the end of the finish line, as long as you continue to pursue things that you love and are happy, and you can also get paid for it, life is good. Hope everyone has a great week. Please stay tuned. Please subscribe, like our channel. Thank you, everyone.